Hi everybody and welcome back to another flip through. So today we're going to take a look at Madonna's book, The English Roses. So this was released in 2003. I remember when it was released and it being a big deal. I don't know how many people know that Madonna wrote children's books. She released this one first and then she went on to write a few other standalone stories and then continued writing The English Roses, which is this book, like a series of books. This is the only English Roses book that we have. I have this because my partner is obsessed with Madonna, so he bought her books, even though he doesn't particularly like children's books. So I will admit I'm a bit biased because I am a fan of Madonna, but I will say objectively these are good books. This particular one is a really good children's book. I think she cracked something in that time period, especially with little girls. And when I've seen girls or like women now talk about this book, they look back on it with fond memories. They loved this book as a child. I think it was just the perfect blend of like mixing a tiny bit of magic with modern fairy tale and then something that girls can relate to, and being set at school. So just before we go on, this book did really well, actually. I know there's a lot of controversy around celebrity authors when they turn to children's books. I would like to do a video about it one day, but it's hard to try and kind of document who the first celebrity was who wrote a children's book. I know Julie Andrews did it in the 90s, as well as the guy who was the Fonz in Happy Days. But I don't know who the first was. But it's an interesting subject to me because I feel like, especially now, it's an easy kind of cash grab, and I think a lot of celebrities think it's an easy thing to do, and these publishing houses pay big sums of money up front to celebrities because they hope the name will draw people to the children's book. And the argument from the publishing world is that the money and the attention that the children's books make will be used for unknown authors and illustrators. But that remains to be seen. However, this book in particular did do really well. So it was translated into 42 languages, and it was released simultaneously in more than 100 countries worldwide, and that was the first children's picture book ever to do so. It also went to the top of the New York Times children's bestseller list, and it sold over 1 million copies worldwide. So, like I say, it is actually a good story, and kids do seem to love it. Maybe I'll look at some of her other ones. I'm not a fan of the other ones as much, but I do think this is like quite genius. So I'm just going to take the cover off. The English Roses is basically about this group of girls called the English Roses, and they are kind of jealous and make fun of this new girl that comes to their school, but through the magic of a fairy godmother, they get to see what her life is really like. So you'll notice there isn't an illustrator on the front cover, which is quite shameful of Madonna to do, to not include the illustrator. The illustrator was Jeffrey Fulvimari. I hope I got that right. And he was most notably a fashion illustrator. He's known for drawing these like cool, chic looking like 90s noughties girls, and it works really well with this book. So we look at the end pages and it's full of all these little scribbles and illustrations of just miscellaneous stuff. We've got girls, we've got the Queen, we've got carriages, we've got Big Ben. It's very British. At this time, I believe, Madonna was married to Guy Ritchie, so she'd become a mother. It seemed like she was like a stay-at-home mother. And the book, she'd released one book before called Sex, which is a book about sex and full of explicit photographs. and she came under a lot of heat when she published this book because her previous book had been so adult, and now she was writing for children. But this was a period of time where she moved to England, she lived with the director Guy Ritchie, and then they got married, and she was writing kids' books, and I think it was like she was really leaning into being a mother, and she loved British culture at the time, so it makes sense. There's a lot of, it's called the English Roses, that makes sense, and there's a lot of British culture here in the end pages. Oh, we have the illustrator here on the inside of the book. I mean, this book sold a shitload, so if I knew I was working on a book that would sell over 1 million copies, would I be that upset that I wasn't on the cover? I don't know. So Lola is Lourdes' nickname, and Rocco is her other son. So this book takes you back to like a vibe, a very specific time and place. I feel is very around that era of the millennium. The look, the feel, the colours, the way that these little girls are drawn. Like I say, he was a fashion illustrator, and I feel like this book could have been a doll line like Bratz or Barbie. I think they made some plush dolls out of these characters, but I feel like this is designed to be like a doll line that might have a story attached to it. So it's interesting they never really capitalized on that. This style of illustration I probably would not have liked a few years ago, but I've really come to appreciate this type of stuff. It's really loose and free, and I would say it evokes a feeling more than it portrays humans really well. So we've got this fun spread here where the girls are dancing, doing different types of dance, and Vogue is mentioned. Had to slip the Vogue in. I mean, you could look at this and say it's badly drawn, and it kind of is a little bit shit, but it's like so bad it's good to me. I really do love it, because it feels like the illustrator was just having fun with it, which is really important to do, and I think if you have fun with your illustration, it shows in your work. So we have this storyline of the girls being kind of jealous of this, I think her name's Bina. She moves into town, and it kind of reminds me of the story of Hey Arnold. There was a new girl that moved into town and everybody picked on her and she was really poor. Maybe Madonna stole that storyline, I don't know. But everybody picks on her because she's so pretty, and she seems to be like kind of popular, and the girls are green with envy. I don't know if this is like a very female, well, a very young female feeling to feel. Say that fast 3 times. But it feels like a Mean Girls for children, if you will, which I think is so genius, and I don't know if she realised this would be such a bestseller because of that, but it's like, yeah, my first Mean Girls. I feel like culture around the time now, I mean, like stuff like flags, British flags, American flags, they're quite controversial now, and people are almost ashamed of them. But I look at like this image here of the girl with the ginger hair, and I don't know if that was deliberate. It makes me think of the Spice Girls. I love this like kind of bucket hat, which were popular back then. What's interesting in this book is like every page the girls are wearing something different, which you wouldn't normally get in children's books because a character is a character and they have to stay the same. But I like that feels very like fresh and new and appealing. I think part of like comparing this to a doll line, and part of like what little girls like and what I liked about dolls when I was little is like the idea to dress characters up in different clothes. I want to see different clothes in books. So the four girls have a sleepover. The mum tells them a story. Oh no, sorry. The mother asks them why they've not invited Bina over, and they make excuses. And the mother kind of leaves them with some food for thought. And they all go to sleep in the same bed. Love the style of the bedroom. Love the really bold colours. I don't know. So they go to bed. They have a collective dream where they're having a tea party. And in the dream, a fairy godmother comes down, who is, I guess, a mix of like Mary Poppins and the nanny from British TV, where she used to come and tell children off. I do like the colour palette for this fairy godmother. She comes and disturbs their tea party. This illustration looks a bit squashed to me, which makes me wonder if it was perhaps the wrong perspective and they altered the picture. So the fairy godmother takes the girls on a journey through time and space, and they fly over to look into Bina's life, and they see that she doesn't have a mother, which is something that Madonna can relate to, and she has to do all the work and the chores in the house because we're playing into stereotypes. But she has to do all the cleaning, the washing, the cooking, the mending, which again is kind of genius because it evokes images of like Cinderella, the beautiful girl having to do all the hard work, and she's not got a mother, also like Cinderella. She helps out her dad's struggling. Like, life is hard for Bina. So although she's beautiful and the girls might be jealous of her, they're actually not quite jealous of her life. So the fairy godmother takes the girls back home after teaching them a lesson. Here's a little mouse again, maybe like evoking Cinderella imagery. They look into Bina's bedroom, which is a bit bare and minimalistic compared to what they are used to and their type of life. And she's got a picture of her mother on the bedside table, and the girls feel rather foolish and upset over the fact that they've judged this person just on how she looks. Again, we have the Union Jack here on the ginger girl, which I love. So maybe they are pushing, like maybe they are trying to pay homage to Jerry Halliwell. And then down here there's a little mouse again. So they wake up in the morning, they're feeling energized that they've learnt something new, and they're feeling good about life. And interesting choice, the sun is not yellow, it is pink and red. So they decide to have a tea party in the park, and they invite Bina, and they are all really nice and friendly with her. They bake together, they draw together, they do everything together. And they're the parents, these beautiful doll-like parents, watching over the kids as they're all getting along. It's so funny when you can tell he is used to fashion and only drawing women, because these parents don't look right. These men don't look right. And it ends with a mouse. That is a horrid looking mouse, but it goes with the style. And again, this miscellaneous end papers. So yeah, this book did really well. It sold really well. Madonna did a lot of promotion stuff for it. What is funny is she was doing a lot of book readings in person with children, and when you look at the footage, which you can find on YouTube, I'll try and link it below, there's just like a mass of kids, like both boys and girls, but the boys have the book in their hands and they're just like completely disengaged, but the girls look happy to be there. But yeah, there you go, The English Roses by Madonna. Let me know if you would like to see any more of Madonna's books. I might actually see if I can find some more of these English Rose books on eBay, because I'm not sure how many she made, but I really just love this style, and one day I might actually try and reinterpret it for my portfolio. So thank you for watching all this if you've stayed to the end. Sorry for rambling, but I do find this, Madonna writing children's books is very interesting to me. So I'll see you in the next video.